I'm Jennifer Beall. I'm the Events and Communications Coordinator here at Brucemore, and I'm outside on the grounds today with my coworker David Morton, the Curator of Landscapes here at Brucemore.
Yeah. We're out here in the woodland.
Yeah.
Where we lost, I want to say about 75% of our old growth trees, sadly. So we decided last fall to plant 450 trees and shrubs out here. And we had a really dry winter, or summer. So
yes, very.
So the biggest challenge was making sure they get the water they need.
Yeah, is that what these buckets are here for?
Exactly. These are buckets, I think they're 5 7-gallon buckets. And what we do is there's a little hole in the bottom of them, like the bottom inch. And we fill each bucket up at least twice a week during the warm part of the season. This time of year we're down to about once a week. And it takes pretty much all day just to do the whole woodland area. And then we have other sections outside of this woodland area that we do with a tank. We used to do it with tanks, the inside here as well, and we would have like 4 or 5 volunteers, and we would fill up buckets to take to the buckets.
Oh gosh.
So we tried a different way of doing it, and so we have 2 long, probably 150-foot hoses that we have hooked up to the well. And so now we go to each bucket with a hose, and that seems to work a little better, especially for volunteers. And if you're looking for a volunteer opportunity, there is still that opportunity to help us water all these buckets, because we have very minimal staff. There's 3 of us out here right now. Well, 5 of us, but 2 of them will be gone shortly for the season. So it's a good way to help us restore the woodland in the estate.
Yes, and that's something we're really focusing on right now with our landscape recovery project. We are kind of entering that fall season, going into winter, where the work is slowing down a bit, but there's still quite a lot we're working on.
Correct.
I guess you said that we're nearing the end of the season. We're going to lose some of our seasonal employees, but what sort of work do you have to keep doing through this fall season to maintain this growth?
Sure. Well, luckily, just the watering in the woodland area. But out on the estate, we like to try to keep all the leaves picked up. Also, so that keeps us pretty busy, especially during the fall months. And then the formal garden, I usually put to bed right after our hard freeze, which is somewhere in mid-October. And that can take a couple weeks to put to bed. Some things we leave up for the winter, for winter interest and for habitat, for wildlife habitat and food. For birds and that kind of thing, but I generally like to clean it up in the fall. You can do it spring cleanup or fall cleanup, and so most of it I like to do in the fall because it's just too busy in the spring when things start happening.
Sure.
It's amazing how quickly work starts piling up. So I don't like to spend too much time cleaning up the garden. I like to have that done in the fall. So those are the 2 main things, and then getting ready for holiday. Which is coming up.
Yes, it
is. So we just had a meeting about that earlier, and then snow removal. That keeps us very busy.
Oh yeah.
It depends on the season, so we'll see what happens this year.
Last year we had quite a bit, like January, February, even into March. So lots for you guys to do all year. Even
really
if it's not just the more green, lush landscape that people are used to during the warmer months, but that work is always happening behind the scenes.
Always. Yeah. And right now we're trying to get, as part of the restoration, we got 210 mock orange that we are in the middle of planting right now along the alfalfa field. This is Brett Seelman discovered a hedgerow, what he calls a hedgerow, and it's got 3 little sort of distinguished rows that help separate the alfalfa field from the rest of the estate, or the formal garden part of the estate. So we've been busy planting those the last 3 or 4 days. Today we had other things to do, so we took a break from that, which was kind of welcomed. But that's been keeping us busy, and we should have that wrapped up by the end of the week, we hope.
Awesome.
So that's the first stage of the restoration,
Yeah.
which was really exciting.
Yeah, I've seen the progress happening over there. I'll have to go take some photos for our social media followers so they can see that. But it's looking great. I know they're small now, but I know in about like 3 to 5 years we'll have some pretty large hedges out there, which is awesome.
It's a species that we don't have out here. It's a mock orange, and it has these white flowers in the spring, and then it has some fall color, and it's planted in mass, so it ought to look really spectacular as it goes in.
Yeah.
So that's like actually the second phase. This was the first phase of our restoration. So things are happening, you know?
Yeah, and I know this area, we have the smaller trees. They're not going to grow quite as fast as those mock orange hedges.
Not really.
So, obviously we lost a lot of shade cover here with the loss of those trees. How does that impact, what we can grow here, and how does it impact the remaining plants and shrubs and species on site?
Sure. Well, there was a lot of native wildflowers in here, the mayapple and those types of things. And unfortunately, with all the loss of shade, those things sort of died out. Now, they haven't disappeared. They will reappear. They don't really leave, but they just, you'll find them in areas where the shade did remain. One of the good things that we had that was the bluebells, which used to attract a lot of visitors during the early part of the spring here, because this whole area just became a sea of blue. Those seem to withstand some of the changes in the climate or the area here. They seem to be able to withstand the loss of shade. And then we've also planted more wildflowers that'll take 2 or 3 years to start to really establish and see. But it really changed. What ended up happening is that then you get a lot of the invasive weeds growing in here, like pokeweed and thistle, which is a pretty plant, but it can take over really quickly.
Sure.
So we've had to keep up with that kind of thing. So it's the invasive weeds that we've really had to try to maintain and keep out of here. And that's been a challenge this year because we try to use just mowing or digging. We don't want to really use too many herbicides because many herbicides kill everything they get on.
Yeah.
There are selective herbicides, but we prefer to just let it go naturally. So that means digging and pulling and weed whacking and all the hard stuff that nobody wants to do in the middle of summertime.
So another area where we might need volunteers in the future.
Yes, exactly. But it's inspiring though to know that eventually we'll have a woodland area back in here again. Probably not in my lifetime, but for future generations and the rest of the community, and restore it back to what Mrs. Douglas, I think, would be happy to see us do.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, she used to have gazebos back here, little trails back here, and so we've created the little trails. They're not as defined right now, but as time goes on, they will be. So that's exciting.
Yeah, and that should be a great resource for our community. I know, sometimes people come to Brucemore. It's very easy to think of it as just the mansion that's over on the other side of the property. But we do have 26 acres of land for people to explore, and this woodland area is part of it. And as it grows, like I said, for future generations, people will just be able to enjoy it more and more.
Exactly, and you still can come in here. We have a critter fence, which works really well around this area, but there are pedestrian gates, so people can come in here to walk around still. So they'll have to contend with our resident hedgehog.
Oh, I have not seen that one.
And some of the deer.
Okay.
And there's this little hole right there. And then deer still get in here.
Yeah, I have seen the deer.
But that's okay. I don't mind sharing.
Yeah, we like that. Like you said, keep it natural, make a home for the wildlife, bring in some of those natural native plant species.
Right.
Yeah.
So lots of stuff happening here.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me,
David.
And
thank you.
Hopefully the rest of your day goes all right. And
I hope so.
Keep working on the ground.
I'll go back to watering buckets.
Woo.